Hey everybody, welcome back to the Creative Educator Collective. I'm Kanesha from boldlivingtoday.com, and we also have our beautiful
Hello, co-host Kari Knutson from Knutson Speaks. All right, here with you guys. How are you doing? Hi, Kanish.
hello. So we are coming to you from California and also from Colorado. And Kari, I've been thinking about this as we are getting through the summer is getting closer to August, and you know what that means.
Back to school.
Back to school. And I don't know if you've ever heard this well, I think it's funny, but kind of funny joke about when it's August, every night is a Sunday for educators.
Oh no.
You know, the closer you get to going back to school, every night is a Sunday.
Oh yeah, that's so true. Actually, I love that,
It's
Kanish.
that feeling, that internal clock that kind of goes on. So, I wanted to talk to you today about how you get excited for the school year, how I get excited for the school year, and, how we can talk to fellow educators about getting excited for the school year, even when you're not really that excited to go back to school.
I'm not ready.
You're not ready. You're not ready. The summer has not been all that you want it to be as far as relaxation. Maybe you've been doing your professional development, working on your master's degree or another advanced degree, or, doing some type of curricular redesign with a team or something like that. And you have just not had enough summer downtime. Or maybe it's life stuff, caregiving, figuring out what you're going to do with your kid's schedule, figuring out if you even want to go back to teaching. Or maybe you've had a new child added to the family and you want to stay home more, but your life really doesn't dictate or allow for that right now. A lot of different things that teachers think about or educators think about going back to school.
Oh, I agree. Especially, I think all the things you thought you might do with your summer that you might
Mm-hmm.
didn't get done, and now school is approaching, and so the stress of thinking about that kind of creeps up. Did I do enough with it? Did I get all the things I wanted done? That's what's going on in our house. Trying.
Yeah, I understand. So we're gonna well, it's not full true confessions, so
Part
it's more, yeah, that's for a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. But think about your, the longevity of your career as an educator. Has there been a time when you weren't excited about going back to school, going back to start the academic year?
Definitely. Most times I am because I have that thing. Like I love that I'm in a field that I'm passionate about. But sometimes I remember after my second baby was born and I had the summer off with her and it was time to go back. I asked my dad and I said, "Dad," and my mom and dad we're educators, and I said, "Dad, does it ever get easier? Does it ever get easier?" And he's like, "Nope." He said he was teaching for 44 years. He's like, "No, honey, you just have to do it." And that year was extra hard for me because I just had the summer with my new baby and I was just wanted more time.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that no time would be enough time. Like it could be a week later, 3 weeks later. So that was my hardest time when I had stayed home with my babies and just going back. Um,
Yeah.
every year gearing up feels a little bit like I use my dad's words a lot. I'm like, it doesn't have to be easy, but you still have to do it.
That's true. I mean, it is a career, it is a job, it is a calling for some of us, but it is also the gearing up mentally to go back, even though something else might be going on in your life. And I'm thinking back, I'm thinking back to the time when I wasn't really excited to go back to work, formal work, in after a great summer or after a healing summer, and it was when I was on a team that wasn't really a good fit for me. Like I loved the work I was doing, but the direct team I was working with was not really a good fit. There were mental challenges around whose voice got the most respect and whose voice got taken up the most and whose voice was the most impactful. There was not enough space for all the voices, which is very challenging when, like you said, you're very passionate, you're very into what you're doing, you want to make a difference, you want to connect with the community you're serving. And if you're constantly doing the battle internally with the colleagues who are going to make those things happen, what energy do you have left to really serve the community, to serve the students, the families, the teachers? So,
Definitely. And I think a lot of teachers deal with that. And that's part of why you
yeah,
were talking about doing this collective, because those are the issues that we never talk about, but we all think about as educators. I think what you're saying
yeah,
is so true. And it makes
yeah.
it,
That's not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, it makes it harder to go back with all those things on your mind. And then Where do you talk about it, process it, get strategies, all those things.
Yeah, and I was going to add to that, but the processing and the strategies, where is the safe place to really talk about it in a way that you can be fully open and honest and actually vent, productively, constructively, but at the same time, know that that person is going to not judge you for those kind of confessions or those feelings or those experiences. And that's really hard for educators because, we're supposed to just stay the course and we're supposed to just get it done and kind of be chipper and all of that. And it's a lot to expect of someone to be able to bring it at a high level all the time if they're managing that or dealing with those things.
Yes, I agree. Totally.
Um, so when you think about that time when it was, a mental challenge, a physical challenge, a time challenge to go back to work after having that sweet and delicious time with your baby, what did you do, or how would you describe how you handled work-life harmony in going back? And I specifically say work-life harmony because I think for a lot of educators and other professionals, work-life balance is not really real. I
Right.
mean, there's always going to be something that's a little bit off. So maybe it's work-life harmony because you know that you're not going to have balance, but you're going to figure out a way to take care of things properly in a way that fills you up as opposed to deplete you when you work on work-life harmony. So how did you get to that space, or what did you do to work to get toward that work-life harmony?
I think that's harmony is such a better word than balance, because I agree something is always off, and then you feel like you failed. And I don't think most of us like feeling like, oh, I failed at work life balance, like, just like I failed at other things. And I think
Right.
back to work and figuring out, like, especially when the school year starts up, you're getting up earlier, you got more things to grade, you're just intense. And I think sometimes saying actively and intentionally, this week I'm going to do this for myself, or I'm going to put this in my schedule, or I'm not bringing work home on this day, or I'm going to make sure that I get help on this night to have someone help me out so I can do something. I think intentionality, if that's a that's the word I want to use, is like, because the school year is such a different schedule than the summer. You have to be intentional about your time. And for me, I know I needed time to figure out, like you said, the is it a time function? It is a physical function. Like, how much sleep do I need? How much physical movement do I need? How much time do I need to take to get my kid ready to get them to preschool? And so figuring all that out, but being intentional about, here's what I need, and asking for help. I know that I had to ask for help to make it all happen.
Yeah. That asking for help is the bigger challenge because sometimes you don't always know what the help is that you need at that time. You need something, but what am I asking for? I'm so depleted. I'm so stretched. I can't find my way to the work-life harmony. What do I do? And I remember feeling like that, like, every day was a chore to get up. Every meeting was just an assault on everything that I kind of believed in. And I just was exhausted and cranky all the time. And I remember talking specifically to my husband. He said, honey, this is just not how you operate. This is not how you think. You're always so optimistic about things and try to be creative and see your way out of things through creativity to disrupt any pattern, and you're not there. So you might need to shift some things to get back to your work-life harmony. Is it going part-time? Is it finding another job? Is it, talking to somebody at that job to get support? He said, whatever it is, you need to figure it out and figure it out fast. And I remember thinking I had not been in that particular position a long time. And as educators, we feel like we need to stay put where we are because it's just kind of like the cultural norms of that position, of that profession. And I thought, is it really an option? If I want to get back to my work-life harmony, can I leave this position and get another educational position, even though I hadn't been there that long? And I said, why not? I mean, I just had to shift something. I had to kind of get out of my own way and help myself to the next step to just, feel better. And it wasn't easy mentally, to do the work, fine, but to mentally take it up, super challenging for me at the time.
What helped you to do it though? What helped you to feel like, okay, I'm gonna make this happen?
I was not enjoying my work, and that had never been a thing for me. Like I love being with people. I love helping people. I love supporting people and bringing community together. And when I dreaded getting up to go do that every day, I just knew I had to do something. And I remember I wasn't even that far into the academic year, and I had made a mental decision by even before November. That's not that far into the academic year. And I had made a mental decision that I was not going to stay beyond that academic year. And that, just making that mental decision was everything. It just kind of opened up this space for me to breathe a little bit easier, to look ahead while I was still trying to do a good job at that. And no, I was not stuck. I was not trapped. I didn't have to stay there. I would be okay, even though I didn't know what the next thing was going to be.
Nice.
But that mental shift, I'm like, I can do something else. I'm going to be okay. But I'm going to still be an educator though. But I'm shifting out of this.
Right. Wow, that's
Yeah.
powerful. Especially because I think you speak to a lot of what educators do is once we start the year, we're in. It's like you're locked into the year.
Locked in.
That's like locked and loaded. But that idea of do I still have choice? Can I still make changes? That whole feeling of being trapped, like that really speaks to I think a lot of people when we get started. And I love you talking about it was all in your mind before it happened in real life. Like
Yeah.
give yourself some freedom in your mind. That's so powerful.
It is very powerful. And, I think for both of us, so long ago at undergraduate, when we committed to go into the field of education, I think there was something internal about this type of work that resonated with us, service, change, impact, helping, all that. I feel like that's really some core values that resonate for the way we both live our lives, personally, and then what we do professionally. And so, since you specifically, Kari, expanded your work as an educator through Knutson Consulting, I mean, what would you go back and tell yourself when you weren't excited about going back to school, when you weren't excited about the school you're starting? Like what, based on what you know now and what you've been able to do in your shift, what would you go back and tell yourself
Well, what
about that time?
with the shift, it was interesting because I was like, I am having two competing things. One is I want more work life integration and a way to feel like I have a new kid and I have this job that I have to go back to. And I was like, and also I want to further reach. I wasn't feeling totally fulfilled that my work at my school was reaching enough people. So I had some conflicting things. I'm like, I want to take psychology off the couch and I want to start bringing it to people. And I want to get these messages out there. So I had all these, I was like kind of big fish in a small pond feeling, also feeling like if I stay within the confines of my school, I won't really have the impact I want to make, although I enjoy the impact I'm having. At the same time, it wasn't enough. And then I needed more flexibility. And that's when I decided to go part time and then decided to start my company part time because I felt like I need something in me needed to grow and stretch. And I think I was facing burnout, to be totally honest, about doing the
Mm-hmm.
same thing year after year and knowing how the cycle is going to go. And I'm like, I need to shake it up and I needed to feel more expansive in my work and like I could go to the next level. So that's how I started my company. But I still
Mm-hmm.
wanted to have one foot in school. So I asked for what I needed and I made it happen to be part time. And that way I could do both.
That's awesome. I love what you said about the expansive reach and having like, more integration into your, work and life and, what you wanted to leave as, I guess I would say a legacy. You didn't use that word, but that's what I heard. And that really sounds like what happened to me when I decided to make my shift. I kind of followed my intuition around what were people constantly telling me in the position I was at that time. And this is when I was on faculty at a large university and running the teacher licensure program. And I remember a huge chunk of students would come to me, with a challenge, which they were supposed to, and we would talk it through and map it out. And I really enjoyed those conversations, even though people might be, really stressed at the time or in tears at the time or whatever the case may be, or having their parents call me, these undergrads having their parents call in, but really taking the time to help them see their way through it. And people coming back later and saying, thank you for that. Thank you for allowing the space, for being really a good listener and helping me through that and not like looking at me like, why can't you figure this out on your own? And I think when I wanted to start the Bold Living Today community, I wanted it to be for bold people who wanted to do big things, powerful things, impactful things, but needed help with it. And also needed to be with other doers and service oriented type people and people who were willing to go for it, but also wanted a safe place to land while they did it. And it's just been so fun to be able to expand in that way and still be connected to other educators, educational institutions, and service-oriented nonprofits to continue to do this work. And like you said, I think I would go back and tell myself that all these hard lessons when I didn't want to go to work, when things were too stressful, when I was going to a burnout, this is what's prepared me to serve people now in this capacity, to be able to coach them, to be able to do presentations, to be able to develop our program, to show them how shifting is not bad. The transition is not bad. You need to be able to own the hard parts and then take those and develop them into something and still be an educator and still stay strong in that work, even though it might be looking different in the
Yeah.
shift that you do decide to do.
Yes. And I love that about what you said too, is like people were noticing, thank you for helping me. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for giving me ideas. Like all the natural skills that you had that you may not have called coach, right? You may
Right. Oh, never.
like, right. And for me, when I was doing it, people were like, you're a really good presenter. The way you present information, I can understand it. And me thinking like, oh, I could do this outside my school. Like, I think sometimes our skill sets and the things that we naturally are good at, we don't see those as marketable or how we could, turn that into something until someone else almost says, hey, you're good at this. So I think
Yes.
your story speaks to the fact, like, if you were so open-minded to your skill set and willing to bridge the whole, like, I'm actually doing this in my work already, right? The kind of skill set you have and bridging that into starting your own business. I think that's so powerful.
Mm-hmm. And I think talking about this specifically with you, since we have been in the same mindset in going in our shifts, but like in completely different locations and different things, although we were in Colorado together for 10 years, but really looking at how we got there and not just thinking it's a fluke, right? Really understanding how decisions we made, experiences we have, it all matters in the next step. And not it matters in the next step because I should have done things better, but it matters in the next step of keeping connections with other people and helping people see their way through and get to the next step. So yay us.
Yes. And the one thing I want to add is in trusting that even if you don't know the answers right away, you still might be on a path and things are unfolding as they should. But you have to be thinking about, be aware of what the universe is kind of trying to tell you. Because sometimes mistakes or hard times, for me, that kind of just imbalance led to I'm going to start doing something different. And it wasn't without that discomfort that until that happened, I was not going to make a change. So in the end, it was a gift. But
it was a gift.
It sounds like same with yours.
Yeah, it was a gift. It was a unplanned gift. I mean, it's not like something that was in my lesson plan book, because we have to be such planners as educators. It was not like that. And I do want to be able to talk to our participants how, listening to those whispers and checking in with yourself and getting into a group that will understand how to shift, how the transition works is really powerful to help you see your way through. It won't give you all the answers, but it'll give you the right structure so that you can still be working in whatever capacity and building something else at the same time.
Yes. And I love that's what we're doing with the CEC, because I feel like all these ideas and the ideas that we've had, and so let's bring these ideas to others. We're not the only two educators that have felt this way. And we need to create a community around people who could talk about these things in a safe environment, but also could help them expand into what they're supposed to do next.
Yes. All solutions for different things.
Yes.
So what are you most excited about with this new school year starting?
Oh my gosh. I'm super psyched about a couple things. We're expanding, I guess you should say, a teacher leadership program that we started for what I call veteran teachers who have been there 5 years in the field or more, who I didn't want them to be kind of dialing it in. I wanted to see if we could help support these teachers to expand their practice, collaborate more. And so that program got funding. So we're going to continue that. And then we started a program for first year teachers, because I was like, I do not want first year teachers to just survive. That is not a good benchmark for me. As the school counselor, I'm like, I want them to thrive. I want them to feel like they have support. So we have a first year teacher program. And it's for a teacher. If you're new to our school at all, even if you've taught before, you're in the program to give you a sense of community. And so I'm running those two programs with another teacher. And it feels so exciting to get the support from my school leadership to fund them and to have the time to do that. And I'm really excited about new programming at the school and all the new teachers I get to meet. Because every time the school year starts, you're like, what's going to happen? It's a fresh start,
Yeah, that's awesome. I am excited about some new contracts I have, one specifically targeting teens and mindfulness. And, living in Silicon Valley, it's considered, like other places, but here we talk about it a lot, it's considered a pressure cooker for young people. And unfortunately, we have had some deaths by suicide. It was on the cover of Time magazine. Super unfortunate. So I'm partnering with a mental health agency to do work for teens, and I'm super excited about that. And then I'll also be expanding that to parent education, helping them use creativity for communication, for coping techniques, and just to feel better about their day-to-day lives and have some fun while doing it, because sometimes it's such a grind for our teens once they reach high school, and it's never fully about the learning anymore and the connecting. It's just all about the grades and the transcripts and the college things, and we have to shift the conversation. So I'm super, super excited to work on that. And I'm excited that my son's starting a new school. I'm so excited about that. So that's a new adventure for us. And I am going to do a video blog series for parents who have had a challenging time with their kids' school, and they've had to switch schools, and how to heal from that, because I have gone through that. So I feel like we could use a little additional support, TLC, and knowing it's going to be okay, even though we don't know what the heck is going to happen, because it's hard. You always want to do right by your kids and make the right choices. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time and trial and error, and we don't like it.
Totally. Can you hear that beeping noise?
I hear it. Is that real life happening?
I think it's real life. Let me go check on my fire alarm real quick. Hold on. Can we pause for the cause, and we'll pick up in a second. Let me see what's going on with my fire alarm.
Well, we'll just wrap up now. So check us out. You can check me out at boldlivingtoday.com. Kari, where can we check you out before your things happen?
KnutSonConsulting.com.
All right, we're going to let Kari go and check on her fire situation, but check out our website here for the Creative Educators Collective. Check out our SHIFT program. We would love to have you join us and be part of the shift and transition that's going to take you to your next level as an educator. Bye, Kari.
Bye, Nish. Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.